Believe it or not, there was a time when I didn't fit in. There was a time when I got picked on just about every day. And there was a time when I didn't believe it would ever stop. There was a time when I was stuck in my shell. I was antisocial. I kept to myself. And I didn't like being in the company of anyone who wasn't family. I'd like to talk about how that all changed and explain how I'm fine now, but that's not what this particular story is about. No, this story is about middle school and my early high school life. Now, I want you all to remember something. No matter how popular you get in life, the people who have known you the longest, even if they're not your friends, will still bring up the past and make fun of you, so you gotta be aware of that. So don't make the same mistake I did. Correct those issues, people making fun of you and whatnot, early on. Get on it. Make sure they have nothing to say about you in the future, because like I said, no matter how popular you get, things have a way of coming back up to the surface. So let's start with my story. Now, as a kid, if you guys watched my other personal story, my dad was not around, and because of that, I lived with my grandma, and I went to go live with my mom, and for a short time I would go back and forth between the two of them, which meant I moved a lot. My mom, she tried her best, but after the first house, after we moved out of there, it was kind of hard settling down in another house. So, like I said, moving around a lot, which also means I'm going in and out of different schools, meeting new people for a short amount of time and then leaving. But then I ended up in Palmdale, California. And when I ended up there, that was a place I would stay for a good amount of time. Enough time to make memories, good and bad. Now, let's jump in. I went to a middle school known as Juniper. And for those of you who went to Juniper Middle School, if you were different, it was not the best thing. It was one of those schools where the popular kids kind of ruled it, and if you were different, you weren't really a part of that group. Now me, I wasn't the kind of kid that got the freshest haircut and the nicest clothes or shoes. I got my clothes from Walmart. I wore Skechers. I had a pair of Adidas, but they weren't the new kind. They were like all black or something like that, and some random no-name brand shoes, things like that. And I did not get a regular haircut. So I always had my afro out, and now I'm not too bothered by it because, you know, I kind of take care of it so it looks good. But back then it was just kind of all over the place, and you know, I looked a mess. I looked ratchet, for a better term. And because of that, kids took advantage. And then, not to mention, I am not the lightest person around. You know, I'm pretty dark skinned. I guess you'd call me chocolate. But you know, people took every chance they could to make fun of me for it. And I was one of those kids who, you know, I wouldn't get my lunch money taken or anything like that, but I would definitely be bullied. I'd be made fun of just about every day. There would not, I believe there was not one day that went by where I did not hear about how dark I was or something like that. But if you spoke to me on the phone, you would not even know that I was black. Some of you, if you didn't see my face and you just hear me speaking, you'd probably think that I wasn't black, but you know, hey. So, back to the story. I got made fun of a lot, but I could hold my own. I couldn't make the nicest comebacks or the best insults, but you know, I backed up what I could say by fighting. I didn't get into many fights as a kid, but there were definitely some times where I had to get into them, and I held my own. I was the underdog for sure, but I took my own advice in the previous video where I talked about fitting in, and I banded together with a group of people who are also different like myself, liked similar things, and things started to get better. But before it got better, I had to learn a lesson, and that lesson was, if you do not stand up to these people, and you try to be like them, you're going to fail. There was a couple of people that I tried my best to be friends with. I tried to like what they like. I tried to speak the same kind of slang, try to do the same kind of things to fit in, and it didn't work out for me because it wasn't who I was, and because I decided to be me instead of being them, I developed a reputation of being this cool guy who was stuck in a not so cool body, I will say. It wasn't hard for me to make friends. I'm a very lovable guy. I'm really friendly, social, things like that. But, back then, it wasn't the easiest thing, like I said, because I had difficulties. I didn't have the newest things. I didn't say the coolest things. And I definitely wasn't the best with the girls. But once you got to talking to me, you saw that I was a pretty cool guy. And that would help me later on. And hopefully I'll be able to tell you guys about those stories. So, the moral of this story, of what I'm trying to say, is you do not have to be like them to be cool. All you've got to do is stick to what you know best, be a friendly person, and remember that not everyone is a bully. Some people will look at you differently. Some people will always talk about you no matter what you do, or no matter how nice or friendly you try to be. But there are people out there who are cool, who will look at you and they will be nice to you. And because of that, other people will be nice to you as well. So you've just got to hang in there. And I didn't believe that the bullying would ever stop. But as you will hear in later stories, it did. People still brought up how dark I was and things like that. But at the end of the day, I created a name for myself and I became a cool guy. In my own way. And you guys can too. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. If it helped you, let me know. Share your own story. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
The person you have dialed can't take your call now. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, simply hang up.